All right, before we begin our meeting, we would like to acknowledge that Stewiacke is in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We'll call our meeting to order at 7 p.m. In attendance, we have our full council. We are joined this evening with our Director of Corporate Services, Helen Young, and Director of Community Services, Aaron Richards. Approval of agenda. Are there any requests to or changes to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to add G under G.
G.
Yes, and consideration for a 3% salary increase for the CAO.
Okay. That would be 9G.
Yes, sorry, 9G.
All right, and there is an item that we are going to be removing. We're removing 9C, the request to grant the easement for Perry Lake. Any others?
Did you want me to make that motion to remove that?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Councilor Osborne.
I'll remove 9C.
Okay, by Councilor Osborne. And do I have a seconder? Councilor LeBlanc. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Carried. All right, disclosure of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest on the agenda? I see none. We'll move into the approval of minutes. Are there any comments or concerns regarding the minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting on November the 13th of 2025 or the Council meeting November 27th of 2025? None. So approved. We have no announcements, proclamations, no presentations, no written petitions or correspondence. We'll move on to 9 and we'll have our CAO report.
Hey, thank you, Your Worship. Just some general updates as of December 18th, 2025. The information is for council information only. No resolutions required. Just a reminder that the new recycling program has started. We just want everybody to know that all the information is included on our website, as well as you get the information from the municipality of Colchester waste management app. Some of the recycling rules have changed in terms of the materials. The collection date is still the same. We're urging residents to get online just to get up to date with what the changes are within the program. Public works reports, snow removal. Snow hit us a little bit earlier this year. Thank you to the residents that helped keep the roadways clear with these early storms. But as a reminder, just the parking ban for winter does kick into effect, and it is in effect now from December 15th to April 15th between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. Just please avoid parking on the roadway to make sure that we're able to get the snow removal equipment in place to keep the roads safe and clear. The water tank maintenance project, happy to report that the flashing on the Windcrest tank was completed last week on Thursday. We have run into some delays based on some pumps and some equipment. We're still waiting on the secondary pump that failed at the water treatment plant. It's on order and it'll be installed in the coming weeks, and then we'll get that project back on track. The desludge project, at the time of this report, all of the desludging was reported to be complete, but we've demobilized the site and we're working on the next stages of the wastewater projects. That includes the design and upcoming RFP or tender that will go out for the high tide, low tide pump station. We're doing a redesign on that, and that will be done in the new year as part of the waste management projects. The water treatment plant design, happy to report to council and to the public that the Department of Environment has provided approval to take water from the aquifer on St. Andrews. I've got that letter. That means that once funding is in place, we can release the RFP for the design of the water treatment plant. The RFP is 99% complete, and we're ready to get that out to the bidders as soon as we get the funding in place to do so. So that project is on track. Staff did make an application to the GRID program for project funding for the design and project management of the design through the GRID program to the province. we were originally, told that the timelines are early December, for notification of that program, but I understand right now there's some delays based on, some of the other things going on at the provincial level, and we haven't heard back yet, so we'll report back to council once we, have an indication on that. From a community development standpoint, the Studiac celebrates Christmas. Thank you to Aaron and Ben and the community development team for putting that on. Thank you to all who contributed to the day and to all those attended. Aaron and our team are completing fire inspection reports on all town-owned buildings. And a reminder that new sport programming begins on January 8th. Just to again talk to the public about the public budget engagement sessions, we were directed by council, and I'm noticing there's a typo there. It's the 2026-2027 budget engagements. Council directed staff to ensure that we had 2 public engagement sessions. We will start actively promoting those engagement sessions, but as a reminder to the public, they will be Saturday, January 31st from 10 a.m. until noon at the Studiac Community Center for engagement number 1. Public engagement session number 2 will be Wednesday, February the 4th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Studiac Community Center. We will ensure that the draft budget is released to the public before that, so you can review that and come with your questions to ask staff or council members and provide your feedback. As a reminder, town holiday closure, town hall will be closed as of noon on December 24th and reopen at 9 a.m. January 26th. For any after hours emergencies related to service, please contact the town public works on-call number at 902-897-7823. We will publicize that. And from all the staff here, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and great holidays.
Move on to 9B, funding. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Grid program. Does grid, is that an abbreviation for something?
It is, and I can look that up for you, Councillor LeBlanc.
Well, maybe more for the people on Zoom.
It is an acronym under the province. It's the Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development Program. The acronym is GRID. We applied for 50% funding based on our estimates. We reported to council. I believe it was the November meeting that we reported that.
Two things. The budget engagement sessions, are we going to live stream those?
So good question. We as a staff have been talking about the proper format for that. We had done a formal presentation last year. We're working on the format. We were more considering more of a drop-in where the budget was going to be available and people could come in and ask their questions throughout the 2-hour window. Last year, what we did is we had a presentation that started on the hour and it was done very, very quickly and the attendance was very, very poor. So we were done very, very quickly and the meetings wrapped up. What we're going to do this time is ensure that we're there for the entire 2 hours. Residents can come one-on-one with staff or council members. And on top of that, prior to those engagement sessions, Ms. Young has confirmed we're going to have a presentation at the January 22nd meeting from the Property Value Service Corporation. They're going to come in and do a property tax presentation for us here prior to those engagement sessions. So we're doing our best to make sure all the information is out front of the public and you'll have full access to staff and council members to provide feedback, ask any questions and go from there. In terms of live streaming, if there were presentations during that, we could consider it, but we weren't planning on having an actual presentation.
I was just wondering, I know last year people were asking if it was going to be recorded and so that's why I thought I would bring it up now.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had to ask was, the training that we talked about in the last council meeting, is there any update on dates for those 2 training sessions?
Yeah, I don't have any updates on that yet. I've been able to they've had a little bit of a change in terms of staffing at the provincial level. I'm working on dates on that. And just going back to the original point on the public consultations, just to ensure that the public has access. We will release the draft budget days before, and that will allow people to have the actual information, which was a learning from last year. And that way, when you can't make the public engagement session, you can email your council members, you can email staff, or you can email members of council and ask them to bring your concerns or comments forward. So doing our best to learn from last year's process and make it more efficient.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions? No? All right, so we can move on to 9B, the infrastructure funding.
Recommendation, that council adopt the borrowing resolution for the Riverside Avenue project. And that council adopt the borrowing resolution for the wastewater project and water plant design. And that council directs staff to initiate the process for approval through the Department of Municipal Affairs. Origin, the funding for the town's portion of large infrastructure projects requires council authorization to enter into debenture agreements that are required to fund these larger projects. The background, the town has and is executing the steps necessary to complete the large infrastructure projects that are required for the current and future population for the town of Stewiacke. These projects require a large financial investment that requires long-term borrowing to access the financial resources necessary. This process is common for municipal governments to fund large infrastructure projects through the debenture process in conjunction with the province of Nova Scotia. Discussion, the town has had and continues to have a number of high priority infrastructure projects that are needed to sustain the current and future needs of our community. Such projects require a large financial investment that requires long-term borrowing. Borrowing of this kind can be provided at a lower cost by the province of Nova Scotia. On February 24th, 2022, the town submitted under the Canada Infrastructure Grant Program for infrastructure improvements along Riverside Avenue. The town was successful in receiving grant funding in the amount of $2,096,333 from the province of Nova Scotia and $2,483,200 from the federal government. It was resolved by council in December of 2024. Staff reported the outcome of the project to the town council. The remaining cost of the project and the town share was $2,468,394, of which the town now needs to debenture the cost of the town's share on this project. In March of 2024, town received a grant from Municipal Capital Growth Program via the province of Nova Scotia. The grant was for $2.5 million, up to 50% of the total total value of the project for wastewater and water infrastructure upgrades. Town council resolved to commit $2.5 million, representing 50% matching towards the total investment on this project, $5 million. Of which the town will also need to secure funding. It says via a debenture. That is an error. It should read secure funding to cover its 50% share. Okay. The town's top priority remains the design and construction of the new water treatment plant. This project is ongoing and the town is on the cusp of releasing an RFP for design and project management services. The total estimated capital construction cost of the water treatment plant within the WSP report forecast, the total capital construction cost at $20,140,000. As the costing was completed based on a Class D estimate, the cost may fluctuate from a -20% to +30%. Once plans have been finalized, a cost B, A or B costing should be completed. The town should continue investigating financing and funding through eligible or available provincial, federal funding sources for capital projects. I.e. through grants and gas tax, and that is happening immediately. Prior to the capital expenditures, the town needs to invest the cost of the design and the design project management. In October 2025, council resolved to authorize staff to make an application for eligible costs associated with the design, project management, construction inspection, and administration of the town's new water treatment facility project via the province of Nova Scotia's Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development Program. GRID. Staff anticipate that notification will be provided soon on the decision of this application. Staff estimates are based on current construction costs. For the purposes of design and design project management, staff had estimated and applied to the province of Nova Scotia for the following. Engineering design, plant, well infrastructure and distribution systems, 2 million cost. Engineering project management and design, 500,000. Engineering backup well sourcing is 350,000. And a 15% contingency of $427,500. If successful, the town and province could share the cost of above at 50% of which the town share will need to be funded. The breakdown of the grant application is successful, if successful, could be as follows. So it'd be 50%, the town share would be $1,638,000. $1,638,750. And for the same for the province of Nova Scotia, $1,638,750. Staff recommend that council authorize the necessary temporary borrowing resolutions for the town's priority capital projects. Financial analysis and options. Town has a $2 million credit facility with the Royal Bank of Canada. Borrowing this amount would require the town to enter into a 25-year loan agreement at a higher interest rate, CORA, which is currently at 2.24% plus the 1.15%. These rates fluctuate daily, and borrowing under this model is not sustainable. The town has the option to participate in the spring debenture process with the province of Nova Scotia. This option is at a lower interest rate. It is at 2.5 and can go as high as 3.1. It is a 10-year term with refinancing options at the end of that term if needed. This option will allow for funds to be transferred back into our reserves, strengthening the town's ability to fund future capital projects. The debenture, principal, and interest for this would be included on our future budgets. To finance the town's share, staff recommend that under the authority of Section 66 of the Municipal Government Act, the Council of the Town of Stewiacke borrow the sum or sums not exceeding $2,468,394 for the purpose of financing the town's portion of the Riverside project, subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs. To finance the town's share, staff recommend that under the authority of Section 66 of the Municipal Government Act, the Council of the Town of Stewiacke borrow a sum or sums not exceeding $4,138,750 for the purpose of financing the town's portion of the water upgrades and the design and project management of the new treatment plant facility, subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Consultations, Mark Sequin, our CAO, and Jason Hahn, our municipal advisor, province of Nova Scotia. Attachments, there are two, the temporary borrowing resolution specifically for Riverside, and the temporary borrowing resolution for the MCGP water plant design. In conclusion, staff recommend that council adopt the borrowing resolution for the Riverside project, the borrowing resolution for the wastewater project and water plant designing. Furthermore, staff recommend that staff be directed to initiate the process for approval through the Department of Municipal Affairs, and that subsequent borrowing costs be included in future budgets. And we should have attached both of those temporary borrowing resolutions.
I don't. So that you know, I only have one of the borrowing resolutions in my package.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same borrowing.
I was gonna say, I have two for
You're
the,
online.
But they're the same.
they're the same, it's for 2,468,394 for both.
So just.
They are, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I see the error.
yeah, I
Yeah.
do too. I do too, yeah.
It looks like it populated twice into it.
Yeah.
So,
Because the second one was 4 million, was it
The
not?
second one is 4 million, and actually yeah,
Sorry, but.
So 4,138,750 should be the other.
yeah, council will bear with me for 1 minute, we can
No.
print off
Okay.
additional copies to see how them, what I offer them to you in a minute.
Do you have any idea what payments would look like based on this use?
no. I'm going back to the province on those, and they'll do up the schedule.
Because we don't know if it's gonna be the 2.25 or the 3.1, correct?
Yeah, I don't know where that starting
We
point
can't
is
get a
gonna
number.
be. Yeah, don't know where that starting point will be. But they are readily available, once we go through the process here to help. I put that all in place.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And your report, have we got any discussion on that?
I have lots of questions, but I want to wait for.
Okay.
See if anybody else has any.
Questions? Very awesome.
So just to carry on from what Councillor Rogers said. You don't know what the payments would be on the debentures that you're asking us to approve tonight?
I don't know what the payments would be, no.
So I have a concern of making a motion for putting us in that almost $7 million in debt. Not knowing what the ramifications are on our budget and the payments on those.
So, with the Riverside one,
Yes,
that has to happen regardless. That is, those funds that we receive from that debenture are going to go back into our reserves. If it does not go back into our reserves, we will not be in any shape to borrow
for the other.
for the other ones, the other projects.
So if I understand correctly, through the chair to you, that money will only go back into our reserves if we're successful with the province, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, so if not, then the option is a 25-year loan with the Royal Bank.
That's correct.
And do we know what the amount of payments would be on that?
It's approximately 89,000 annually.
Interest only,
That's including interest.
so it's
Principal.
P and I. Okay. Okay,
So if we wanted to make an educated guess of what the payments would be through a venture, it would be
a little less,
a little less, yeah,
but not much, based on interest.
based on interest only.
Okay, so are we premature in doing the debenture for the 4 million tonight? Because we don't know if we're going to get the grid funding. Are we premature in that?
We could come back on that one.
And then you would have a better idea
Yeah, we
of how much our payments would be on the 2 million?
Just to clarify, we
Yeah.
thought we would have an answer on the grid funding to come to you tonight.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
don't, so it was on the agenda, and Ms. Young is correct, we probably can come back on that second item,
Yeah.
should council sure.
It's really scary for me to put this town into debt for 25 years. Which is basically what we have to do right now, and just pray that we're going to get the spring funding from the municipality, if I'm reading your report correctly.
If we don't approve the 2.4 million tonight,
Mhm.
we are gonna miss the mark for the spring debenture.
Okay. So explain that to me, sorry.
So, but we have to have the council approval in place.
For the debenture. Okay.
Yes, and then it has to go to the province and they have to approve it.
Okay.
And we have, in order to get that funding, we have to have our last year's financial statements completed. And until MMP gets an answer on this, we don't get our financial statements.
That the auditor won't sign off on it,
The
correct?
auditor will not
Okay.
sign off.
And if I may add to that, I think, I realize it's scary and there's a lot of questions, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. These are projects that the town cannot not go forward on. There are projects, the wastewater project, the Riverside project have already been completed. This is a tidying up of financials for borrowing resolutions that were not completed in the past and should have been. The imminent design process for the black sugar plant that we have to proceed with. This is our best case scenario in the 50%. They're all projects that we need to proceed on, and this is the best financial way forward that we can see at this point.
But the wastewater one is in the 4.1 million debenture, correct?
That is correct.
I'm
However,
kind of just talking about the.
we already
2.4.
confirmed that $2.5 million share, so we need to figure out where our 2.5 million is coming from, which is why the resolution is written as such. That decision was made in
2022.
2023 or 2024 previous, so we're playing catch up on paperwork right now. That was done prior to Ms. Young and I being here, and we're just making sure that for the audit purposes, we have all the resolutions in place.
So prior to both of you being hired, there was some discussion around the table on where the funds were coming from for Riverside. And please, people around the table, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was some of that was coming from our reserves.
Mhm.
Did that happen or did that not happen? Or was the project more than what we anticipated it to be?
The project we reported to council last December, a year ago, the project was more than what it was anticipated to be. My understanding, and Ms. Young can help me out, there was a borrowing resolution that was crafted but never executed upon, by the previous,
Right,
administration.
right.
And now that's why the auditor has caught that and said, for the, financial record keeping, that we need to make sure the board resolutions are in place.
Okay.
And now we're moving forward to do everything, by the.
So we're in a catch-22 situation with the previous council's decisions on the way things are getting paid. You're telling us we don't have a choice.
I
We
know,
have to move
that's
forward with it.
basically, that's what I'm saying. This is the path forward. It's our only option. We have to reinject those funds into our reserves. At the end of this year, our reserves are gonna be depleted to a little over $500,000. And that is
Can't do it.
even with injecting the 700 and I think 706,000 from our budget. That went right back into reserves as well. So by borrowing, doing this temporary borrowing resolution and injecting that, that will poise us to have our 50% of the $5 million wastewater project. Once that wastewater project is done, we can then approach the province and we can debenture that as soon as as soon as it's finalized.
So I'm getting really confused because you're talking about the wastewater project,
Right.
but I thought that the 2.4 million was for the Riverside project.
It is, but it is for the Riverside project.
Right,
But once those funds come back
yes,
to us, they would go back into our reserves.
okay,
And then that money in reserves could be used towards
Okay.
the wastewater treatment.
Okay.
Project.
okay,
Once that wastewater treatment project is completed, we can apply to debenture that.
okay.
That will poise us to be in a position to
Okay.
move forward with our
Okay.
water treatment plant, which is
Okay.
the huge elephant in the room.
So if I understand correctly, again, it's almost $7 million that you're asking us to debenture tonight.
Yeah,
So my understanding is the 2.4, we have no choice, we have to do it,
correct.
period.
Correct.
But the 4.1, we could wait for
We
to
can.
get better numbers.
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah. Absolutely.
And if we go with the province, it's 10-year, right? With the option to renew, and if we go with the Royal Bank, it's 25.
Correct, yeah. And I mean, we could borrow from the Royal Bank, but we'd still have to do a debenture and pay the Royal Bank back.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just not an option.
It's not
It's just not an option.
I'm certainly comfortable with going forward, not comfortable, because I really hate even the thoughts of this, but going through, because we have to, with the boring resolution for Riverside tonight, but I would like to see clearer numbers for the wastewater project, and maybe by the goodness and the grace of God, we won't need 4.1 million.
We may not. We may not. But we won't
That's all
know
I have.
until we get there, and this is the mechanism to get us there.
So how long can we wait?
On the first one, we can't wait.
I mean, but I'm talking about the second one, the 4
You're
million.
waiting for the grid report, are you not?
We would be waiting to confirm whether or not we got the grid funding.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna ask Ms. Young to help me out here, but the 2.5 for the wastewater that we already committed to confirming.
Mhm.
Can we wait on venturing that portion?
Well,
We missed the window for debenture of the province.
we have to, we can't debenture that wastewater project until it's completed. Once that project is completed, it becomes a town asset and then we can borrow against it. But we can't debenture until that's
So how often does the province issue debentures?
spring and fall.
Oh,
Oh, year.
so we could deal with this in the fall.
Yes, we could come back and deal with that in the fall. Well, no, if the project was completed by the fall,
Okay,
we could come back on that piece, but.
so what we're, okay. This one we're okay with. This one we can, it's nice to know, but it can wait.
It can be put in.
So even if we did happen to, and I'm not saying that we are, but if we approve them both, the other one, nothing would happen to the second one anyway until fall.
No,
Or until the project
or
was
until,
complete.
until the project
Yeah,
is
well, we-
complete. It's, yeah, it's just, it's basically putting it in place, you know, just so we have something in place. It may be done by the fall, it may not.
Yeah, I think I'd feel more comfortable if we had better numbers for the 4.1.
Yeah, absolutely.
So council can amend the
Yeah,
motion and,
yeah.
and remove, item 2, if you so choose, and we can, come back on that if that's council's direction.
I'll make a motion, but I'll wait and see if anybody else has
Yeah,
any
is there any
questions.
further discussion?
Great.
All right, I'll make that motion that council adopt the boring resolution for the Riverside Avenue project and that council direct staff to initiate the process for approval through the Department of Municipal Affairs. Normally, I need to read the
You
the debenture, that's why I did.
I wouldn't make it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, here we go. Bear with me. Municipal Council of the Town of Stewiacke, temporary boring resolution, amount. $2,468,394 for the purpose of the Riverside project. Just gonna scratch that. Shouldn't have done. Whereas section 66 of the Municipal Government Act provides that the council of the town of Stewiacke, subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs, may borrow to expend funds for a capital purchase as authorized by statute. Whereas the council of the town of Stewiacke has adopted a capital budget for this fiscal year as required by section 65 of the Municipal Government Act, and are so authorized to expend funds for a capital purpose as identified in their capital budget. And whereas the council of the town of Stewiacke has determined to borrow.
Sorry, I was just looking in the report that you did. You had it section 66 of the municipal act, but Councillor Osborne is reading section 65.
Part of it is 66 and part of it is 65.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Okay, whereas the council of the town of Stewiacke has determined to borrow for the purpose of the Riverside Avenue project. Be it therefore resolved that under the authority of section 66 of the Municipal Government Act, the council of the town of Stewiacke borrow a sum or sums not exceeding $2,468,394 for the purpose set out above, subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs. That the sum to be borrowed by the issue and sale of debentures of the council of the town of Stewiacke to such an amount as the council deems necessary. That the issue of the debentures be postponed pursuant to section 92 of the Municipal Government Act, and that the council borrow from time to time a sum or sums not exceeding $2,468,394 in total from any chartered bank or trust company doing business in Nova Scotia. That the sum be borrowed for a period not exceeding 12 months from the date of the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs of this resolution. That the interest payable on the borrowing be paid at a rate to be agreed upon, and that the amount borrowed be repaid from the proceeds of the debenture when sold.
Thank you.
Do
Do I have a second there?
Bumpers?
Rogers, sorry. All in favor?
Alright.
Carried. We will move on to 9C, and that will be the Richards.
Thank you. So a letter from the Royal Canadian Sea Cadets has come into the mayor's office requesting use of the community center free of charge. In the past 12 years that I've been here, there's been no formal agreements in place for that. and practice has been set as youth free of charge for facility use. Staff are recommending that council direct bylaw and policy committee to review the Sea Cadets request to ensure that there's fair process in place for any other non-for-profit organizations or youth groups or anything requesting facility use, field use, or anything like that moving forward. So there is some financial implications with just the cadets specifically. They are 2 days per week at the community center, Monday and Wednesday evenings throughout the school year, which approximately is $3,600 per year at a loss of $30 per hour, which is our current rental rate at the community center. Other organizations that utilize this space free of charge right now is the Suyak Fire Department for their annual dance. Maggie's Play Place, Storm uses our ball fields for free for their youth minor ball. And then there's the dinner theater has also used the space for free. So staff is asking for council's direction, hopefully going to bylaw and policy for quarterly.
Yeah, question. It says to recommend it to bylaw and policy, which is fine, but it says a recommendation to council in January. We are not meeting for
Oh, okay.
until January 18, 16.
Yes, the middle.
Third Thursday of January is our next scheduled, the 15th
Okay.
is our next bylaw and policy.
Mine does not have January in there, but that is okay. My application, sorry. Inclusion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
and the inclusion,
Yeah.
sorry.
So were the cadets looking for, like, when do they need a response, or when are they?
There was no
convened, or-
detailed response, I
Okay.
assume they would need to know by the end of the school year for the next school year term, which would be September, so there is a little bit of
Okay.
time. But
The response should also apply to all nonprofit as well.
Yes,
So-
of course, just didn't know when they're, if they had a.
That was actually gonna be mine as well, Councilor LeBlanc, like I had it here, that the policy should really apply to all nonprofits,
Yes.
not just the cadets.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure if you're asking that bylaw review their rental agreement. I'm not sure if that's under bylaw and policy or not.
So if I may.
Yeah.
Requesting that they review the facility request bylaw and policy and then compare what our rental agreement is for recommendations moving forward. Just because there's no identification for subsidy or non-for-profit use or anything like that currently in place.
Is there something in the rental agreement for the town, for the community center that talks about nonprofits? I know there's stuff in the MGA that
Yes.
talks about fairness
Mhm.
and about how it has to be opened up for everyone and everyone has to be treated this, in the same
Mhm.
manner through the MGA. But is there not, one for our rental
In our
agreement?
policy,
Yeah.
it just says refer to rental agreement, schedule of fees, insurance covered options, possible subsidy and schedule of green space facility for reservation. That was in place in 2021.
Right.
So there's not been any detailed schedule of fees or subsidy in our rental agreement. That is also attached to.
Okay. Why did I have 50% in my head? Okay.
There's been a lot in the past 10 years of different direction from administration on certain groups and stuff like that. It'd be great to have a clear process moving forward for everybody.
Yeah, I know the history on the
Mhm.
cadets and why they were, it goes back to when I was on council, when I was first elected 15 years ago. And it was, at the time, we had bingo. And so instead of staff, us paying, like the town paying public works staff to tear down and set back up, the cadets did that for the offset of the rental. We no longer have that, so, but they were a good help, a really good help with Stuyak Town Days this year. And came out very early in the morning with us, so I mean, yeah, this is great. I mean, I think we need clarity.
Further discussion? And get a motion?
I'll make a motion that council direct the bylaw and policy committee to review. Actually, I'm gonna say to develop a policy regarding all nonprofit agreements regarding the community center facility. To identify potential provisions for nonprofit organizations. And that further the committee report back to council with recommendations.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor? All in favor?
No, just a minute. You mentioned the community center, but
Yeah.
Storm Minor Ball Association uses the ball field.
True. True.
So I think
We'll make a friendly amendment that,
friendly amendment it is.
so for, how are we gonna word that? For,
Say rental agreements and take the word facility out would be my recommendation. That will cover both.
Yes,
Does
yes.
that make sense?
Okay.
Ms. Richard?
Yes.
is my seconder agreeable to the?
Yeah, we had a second.
Yep.
And all in favor?
All right.
And we're carried. Yeah.
Yes, okay, so just last month, we adopted a new policy regarding the FCM conference and attendance by mayor and council members to that conference. Tonight is the December meeting, and we're required based on the policy for any council members that are interested in attending the FCM conference to put their names forward. If there are more than one council member putting their name forward, names will be put into a hat. Based on the policy right now, Councillor LeBlanc did attend the conference last year. The three councillors that will be eligible for the names forward should they wish to be Councillor Osborne, Councillor Rogers, and Deputy Mayor Lutz from that point. So I'll hand it over to you, Your Worship.
So have we got anybody that's wanted to attend the FCM conference in 2026?
I'd like to attend.
I as well.
Yeah, and I have the time off.
And I as well.
And that's awesome.
With the policy names go in a hat, so confirming Councillor Osborne. Mayor Lutz. We're going in the hat. And the chair has to pick one.
Drum roll, please.
Mhm.
Deputy Mayor.
For the record, Councillor Osborne will be the alternate.
Where am I? So we don't have to have any voting on that. We can move.
No motion. I believe required on that policy.
All right, so we'll move on to 9E, which is the commercial incentive. I've been doing everything taxes lately, so I just decided that I wanted to do a little bit of discussion on the incentive that we have for our commercial properties, which I think is a wonderful thing. But I just want to get some discussion and feedback before we go into our budget meetings. Right now, when I look at things from other communities, and the only community that does the commercial incentive is Yarmouth. Now, the council at the time, when they came out with this policy, they based everything, I guess, on the information that they got from staff. So the information they got from staff was what they had to base their decision on. Now we know a little bit more information on it. right now we're doing the 10-year. It's basically for everybody, as far as I understand, from Studia. Now, Yarmouth, they're doing it is for up to 10 years. It's not for everybody. It's a program that they are using to revitalize their downtown core and to put businesses into old commercial buildings that are within the town. You have to do $100,000 investment into the building, and you have to make the assessment of the business go up by 100,000. We have nothing, and I'm not saying that we should do it like that, but I think that we should have some kind of a criteria for it. You know, we actually got an email from Shane. Did you see that this evening? It came in late.
Briefly, I didn't.
Yeah, what he was saying in his, and I thought that it was really, really good, was the fact that some of the bigger companies really don't need that kind of an incentive. The smaller business or the new entrepreneurs that have the financial issues, they may be able to do it, but do we have to do it for 10 years? Now, if you, and I know that Colchester doesn't do it, but I looked at the Colchester tax rate, and they have a commercial tax rate of 228. And then it's on a plus service, where our commercial rate isn't on a plus service. And if we're gonna offer an incentive like that, we should have a tax rate, because right now at the 345, not only are we giving them a discount on their taxes, we're giving them a discount on all of their services. So, because it's all together. In ours, we only have one. We don't have a base tax rate plus. Now, when you're in Truro, for example, it comes out to 335, 340 in Truro and Colchester for the commercial businesses, but their base rate is 228. So the businesses would get their discount on the 228 rather than on the services, because right now all of our services, employment, the wages are up, the cost of goods are up, gas is up, but we are discounting our services. I think giving it on the tax base rate is fine. I just don't want us to discount our services, is the way I was looking at it.
What do you mean by services?
Water, sewer, snow removal, your street lights, any kind of services that the town has to pay for those businesses, they're getting a discount on.
Do they not pay their own water and sewer?
Well, they do, but they have to pay. We pay for the services to go into them, right? They still pay their water and sewer. That's why I'm opening this up for discussion, because I may not be explaining things quite right. Basically, all I'm trying to say with our commercial incentive that we have, we should probably look at putting some criteria in there where there's nothing, it's open. Like, to me, can I open up a lemonade stand and get this
I
incentive?
thought there was criteria.
There is, I was on that
Were
committee
you?
when that came into effect after.
What's our criteria?
I
haven't seen it.
I have to dig it
So,
out
yeah,
again, but I was on that, and in, is it Councillor Lamont's question too, was who. I was part of that, and I was part of the approval process when it went through by direction of staff and months of conversation. And at the time, I'll just give the bit of background that I remember, at the time, we had no businesses.
Right.
We had no interest in businesses, we had very little interest in the town in general. The thought process at the time is if you could get a few businesses in with the incentive, making a little bit of money from them was better than making $0 with vacant land. And we were sitting on vacant land for a lot of years up there. So the thought process is making $10,000, whatever, I'm just throwing numbers out, versus
$0.
making $0 in vacant land. We'll take the 10,000 for the time being. It was always meant to be looked at again
Okay,
and revisited and
yeah,
revamped, but at the time it was to attract businesses because we weren't attracting businesses at a town as a town, and we were trying to draw people here.
gotcha.
And how many businesses are actually in the program?
Currently,
Three.
three,
That's what I thought.
and one more slim.
So it's not costing a lot of money, but it is, you know? right now, and I'm looking at things, and again, that's why I wanted a little bit of this discussion. Churro has basically stopped their building. We're the next place. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have some kind of an incentive, but do we need something that's that big? Do we have to do it for 10 years? Does it have to be that great? It's just something for us to consider when we're going into our budget to try to get some more tax dollars back into our community so it's not costing our residents so much money.
There were stipulations. I will try and go back and find what I can, but this did have to go through the province and it had to go, there was a lot of hoops to jump through to get it put into place. I don't know if that included having it 10, like, I don't know if there were certain provisions that we had to write in there to get it approved through the province and who we had to go through to get it approved. Because it was a very long process, like, I'm thinking it was like a year that we worked on this and sent it off for approval, and. So if you can leave it with me, I don't know how far my
Yeah,
emails go back,
we're
but
just
if I can
discussing.
go back and search, then I might be able to find out more about the process and what.
That'd be wonderful, and then we can discuss it amongst our business,
Yeah.
committee.
Well,
And
that's what I was just gonna suggest, this should go back to the business committee
Yeah.
for discussion on our January 20th meeting.
And if I may, I think there's really two questions that are here, is one, do we still need the incentive based on, it's the natural place to come? Yes, us and Yarmouth are the only two that offer the incentive. That would be the business committee, where I would challenge them to answer the question, do we still need that to attract business? Given that Mr. Gibson is putting 7 new lots online with another phase 3 coming. We've had conversations in Maston Ridge, they've got development plans for the future. And then, the second question I would ask council is, can we afford this? It's $110,000 back to the businesses every year. I believe that, we need to make up for in the overall scheme. So, that'd be something I would, as your CEO, I would recommend you challenge the business committee, have a conversation on, and come back and answer and make a recommendation to council.
It's 100,000 on 3 business.
it's over that, it's like,
It's 108.
how much?
108.
I thought it was closer to 125, okay.
For 3 businesses.
Our taxes were not collected.
Well, then we've given back under this incentive.
Oh, okay.
So instead of it possibly bringing down taxes for the residents, it's,
But that 108 goes down.
it does, it gets a little bit better each year.
Yeah.
But that being said, if their assessments, some of the checks that they got this year were bigger than the ones they got last year because their assessments went up $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So in my opinion, it was hurting us. Now, some of the bigger businesses, as I was saying to Councillor Osborne, from one of the members from the business committee, I thought his email was wonderful. And it's, the bigger companies don't really need it, but the smaller guys that are trying to be young entrepreneurs and get started, maybe that's something that we can do. And like Yarmouth, not everybody gets to participate in that program. They have certain criteria that they have to meet to be part of the program. And if we had some criteria, I'm not saying that we should get rid of it. I'm thinking,
The wording on that might be a
Yeah.
slippery slope, though, to define what
And
is
you're
big business
yeah.
versus what.
yeah,
Is
you're
it?
saying that there is some criteria. I'm sorry, I haven't seen that. To be able to see the criteria, that would be wonderful. But like I said, there's no decisions being made this evening. It was just to kind of open up the discussion on the incentive and the taxes before we go into our budget meeting.
That's their PAC, I believe. Leave it with me.
I will say that there are 2 other municipalities looking at doing a business incentive program. One is in the Valley and one is Cumberland.
Okay.
And they're in the process of actually getting it approved now. I don't know what their parameters are either, but I do know that there is 2 more coming.
Just with our proximity that we have to the city, we are the prime location of Churro has shut down business because they just have no more place to put it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they had shut down business.
It's, they're filling up the exit 8A with everything. There's only so many that are gonna go, we're gonna be next, and we're poised with Perry Lake and all the buildings or the commercial buildings he's gonna be putting up. We're poised because there will be people that wanna go in there,
Mhm.
I'm sure. But the incentive does give business to town, hopefully, or brings business to town, which helps the other businesses in town, bringing those people into town, so they get supported by the people that work there, so
Mhm.
there's.
That was, as I said, that
Yeah.
was the initial thought, and
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever meant to stick around forever,
Yeah,
but
and
there's
like I said,
been changes, so.
not trying to
probably
say we
got
should get rid of
but-
it, but I think that it's something that we should revisit, whether it be through the business community and get some feedback, or through PAC, or about wherever you said
It was
came from.
PAC.
You know, I just think that, we should visit it, because if we can give our residents, you know, any kind of a break. And that was the whole intent with, when I was a resident way back when, we're gonna have all these commercial businesses come to town and your taxes are gonna go down and we're gonna do all these new buildings, and it never happened. So I'm just trying to look for ways to help the people that we serve, our residents. So,
Well, I'll certainly put it on the agenda for the business committee on January 20th.
thank you.
And I'll see what I can find from, if my emails stick around for that one.
Any more discussion?
No.
Perfect. All right, so we will go over to the bylaw and policy repeal.
Item P.
Sorry, oh, I'm sorry.
You know, just to
Should be
clarify that, I
camera.
don't, it should be in camera, but also, there wasn't a first and seconder on that addition, so I don't know that it got added.
Yeah.
officially to
The
agenda.
addition?
The changes did,
Yeah, it was,
to the, yeah,
for the cadets tonight, it was Counselor Osborne and Deputy Mayor.
Okay, I just want to clarify because I heard Councillor Osborne first, and then we have a second on the removal of the one item.
yeah, and
But you
then
did include it on that? Okay.
yeah. Councilor LeBlanc seconded.
Yeah.
The approval of the agenda.
Okay, so then.
Okay, cool. So the wisdom of the CAO may be that this maybe should be deferred to in camera.
I would defer it till January, yes, to add it to an agenda properly. There's no hurry
It'd
on
be a
that
contract
conversation.
negotiation.
Yeah, no issues there.
HR.
To January?
Your bylaws repeal.
Correct, so, just an update on that, at the last meeting, we brought forward some recommendations to council in November. The first was regarding the CAO bylaw, the second was regarding the council meeting and procedural bylaw. The recommendations were to repeal both bylaws, replace them with policies that were presented to council with some friendly amendments around the table. Those were made in terms of the new policies. In terms of actually repealing a bylaw, there's a process that has to follow. So this evening would be the first reading of the motion for the bylaw, and it would be placed, the motion would be placed on by a council member, but essentially the motion would be that I move the first reading of bylaw 2025-005 and maybe said as the repeal of council procedures bylaw, which will repeal bylaw 2017-23, which is the council meeting and procedure bylaw, and 2017-23 meetings and bylaw 200-03, which is this CAO bylaw number, again, 2003, respecting the position and responsibility of the chief administrative officer. The process going forward will be that we would advertise to the public the first reading of the bylaw, which will be this evening, at the January 22nd meeting of council. That would be the second reading. We would then notify the minister. These are two bylaws that do not require ministerial approval to go into effect. So as soon as that second reading would happen in January, the two new policies would kick in and those bylaws would be repealed. And then that would mean that in February, we would proceed with the new schedule for council meetings based on the November update, which would be committee of the whole and council on one evening, which is the fourth Thursday of every month. So with that, I can answer any questions or council can motion to repeal.
Would we not need to read all of this into the motion?
No, just the motion needs to be read first and second. We do not need to read the entire bylaw. I
Okay,
confirmed that with the provincial advisor today.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Yeah, to make the motion.
Um, Well, I move that what am I moving? Help me out.
You're gonna do the motion where council moves the first reading.
Yeah,
you move motion. For the bylaw, the municipality town, so that was deal of council bylaw.
don't have it in front of me, guys.
So Councilor Plonka, this would be the motion.
Yeah, so I move that the first reading of the bylaw 2025-005 and may be cited as the repeal of the council procedures bylaw, which will repeal bylaw 2017-23 council meeting and the procedure bylaw 2017-23 meeting and bylaw 200-03 CAO bylaw number 2000-03, respecting the position and responsibilities of the chief administrative officer.
Changes. No, yes. No change.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconder.
Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Great. We'll move on to B. And, Rebecca, Councilor Roberts.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this one forward for a brief discussion, and potentially refer back to bylaw and policy. However, it's been brought to my attention from two different residents within the town, that they have issues with their lateral sewer lines from their property. Both issues in both situations fall on the town-owned side of the property. Upon talking to both residents and the plumber, we looked at the bylaws and it says in our bylaw currently, all costs associated with installation, connection, maintenance, or repair of a building sewer connection to the municipal sewage system, whether in a street, highway, or easement, including the cost of any necessary permits, are the sole responsibilities of the owner. So I wanted to bring it forward as a discussion item because I think how it reads right now, you are asking residents to tear up a street, tear up a sidewalk, get the permits responsible to doing so, get potential engineering responsible. There is nothing in there about policing such matters if it does in fact fall on a resident. So I guess I'm just looking for thoughts, opinions, and whether this should be looked at more closely. Because to me, asking a resident to tear up a street and a sidewalk and fix the sewer line and then repave the street and refix the sidewalk is, in my opinion, absurd, but maybe it's not. Staff did look at other areas. Truro, I believe, was written the same way that we have it. East Hants and Colchester, the resident is responsible for any repairs up to where the town owns the land. And then from there on, it's the town's responsibility. And I also checked with somebody in HRM who does this for a living, and it's also written in that manner as well, that it's the city's responsibility from their land onward.
I wasn't aware that this bylaw changed. It changed, interesting enough, the night before I was sworn in. I have had experience with a sewer backup. where it was, on the town property, where the, blockage was, hopefully, not was. So all of our pipes from the house, to the street, were replaced. Our cost ended at our property line, and then the town took over from the property line, out. So I certainly am in favor of this going back to bylaw and policy, to look at that wording of number 8. I don't believe that it would be our intention to have a property owner repair a town asset that we actually depreciate in our books. And I honestly, I don't believe that we would expect a 90-year-old woman who happens to be able to stay in her own home, and then they have a sewer backup, repair at the town, like the property all the way out into the middle of the street, if that's where the blockage was. And I think we have to really look at that. I too looked at the other bylaws, and I think East Hants actually has it spelled out quite well. It's to the property line of the owner, and then the town takes over. I know when we had, and this was prior to this bylaw being changed, when we were having constant issues with, our sewer backing up, we would call a plumber to snake it. The staff at the time asked us not to call a plumber, that the town staff would rather do the snaking of, the pipes before, this was prior to us, putting all brand new pipes down. They would prefer to snake it because, a number of the connections at the older properties have, tar paper connectors. So that's my experience with it. And again, I don't think the intent, or I hope that wasn't the intent of the previous council by changing this. I hope it was just an oversight.
We have to define property line. Are we talking up to where the town has the right of way to our property or to our actual property line?
Yeah,
Because I know it happened to me as well with my sewer.
right.
And I had to have my pipe, and it was right down at the sidewalk, which, I'm always used to, where your water connection comes in from there down, the town can do whatever they want, put snow and that's for them to use kind of thing. I was well beyond that down by the sidewalk, and I had to pay. Now, I'm fortunate, and a lot of people aren't probably as fortunate as I was. I do have a rider on my insurance that if this happens and they have to dig up the street, I would have insurance, but a lot of people don't have that.
Correct.
And I guess if that is the intent and it is my responsibility, then there's nothing in there that talks about any type of liability, any type of, can I hire my neighbor with a backhoe to dig up the street and start fixing a pipe, and then
Yeah.
there's a lot under the streets too.
Right.
And I'm on town land. If I hit something, there's nothing in there about a lot of it. So I think it needs to be a lot clearer.
Yeah. And I too, we were responsible until the end of the driveway, like our connector is right at the end of the driveway. So, and then the town took it from there.
But as you said, when I did it, I rented an excavator and my friend did it,
But if you had to dig up the street in front of your house, that's the main street in town,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that would be fun.
You think it's bad now, wait, at the stop sign, yeah.
But if I'm responsible for it, do whatever I want. Yeah.
Should definitely, I agree, it should get looked at by, the committee.
If I may, I've seen it being done both ways, it would be a good discussion for the bylaw committee to have. if in the case where residents are required to do it, I've seen that be the case. Generally, contractors are either pre-qualified and on a list, and the residents would have to use that pre-qualified contractor and go with the specifications set out by the town. I'm not saying that's the way it should go, but just to answer your concern that if we ever had specifications like that, that's how we would respond to make sure that it would be very clearly laid out.
And wording it like that makes it sound like you're asking residents, not you, sorry, asking residents to fix the town's infrastructure with a list of people that they're providing.
Yep, understood.
For you to fix their infrastructure.
Understood. It's just whereas what we do have contractors doing work and the specifications we would specify, but the bylaw and recommendations to council. And also can amend the bylaw as they so choose.
Want a motion to send it back?
We don't need a motion, you can just go back to the committee.
You can go to motion, but the chair, which is
You can
Councilor
put it on the
Rogers,
agenda.
can, at her discretion as chair, place it on the agenda, so you technically don't need a motion, in my opinion.
Do you want a motion?
As long as Councilor Rogers is agreeing to take it back.
We don't need a motion, it'll come back in January, I mean.
So, but I do have a question.
You can, yeah.
So if I've got a new house and I gotta connect it to the sewer. Okay. Who puts the original connection in? Does the town or the contractor or how the sewer pipes get in there?
So I can answer that question. So we do have that, and that's a great question, because right now the contractor does that. So we've just, had a water connection, our first water connection where the towns could provide that service at a cost, or the contractor can provide it based on the public works supervisor providing instructions. And we just had a connection that, did go under the road, and the contractor did, cut the road, repair it based on their specifications and do the connections. So, water and wastewater that, should come into the conversation, and we can add that to the bylaw conversation as well.
I guess my question really is if it's the responsibility of the town or contractor to do it, but it's not the responsibility of the house owner.
Ultimately, it comes down to the homeowner who would hire their contractor to do the work to make the connection based on however our bylaws
Worded.
are worded.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, if I built a new house, I had to put all that infrastructure in, I followed all the rules. At the end of the day, why would I be responsible to take it out to the road and under the road and up above the road and whatever?
Whoever's building your house would be your contractor, they would be responsible to do that for you.
Well, they're responsible to do it, but 5 years later, if it doesn't work, do I come back to the contractor and say, wait a minute, this isn't working?
So that's, I think there's something to be said too about existing homes, i.e. a 45, 50-year-old home
Yeah,
versus a new
yeah.
connection as well. To me, you're punishing existing homes the way it's written than
Yeah, but
more than anybody else, because that's who's gonna have potential issues.
And the other part of that is the older homes, like I said, their connector is not the same as the new connectors. The old connectors are, yeah, and that's what's breaking down is that tar paper connector that's there. When we redid ours, I wanted to change out that tar paper connector, and the town staff would not permit me to do it, even though my contractor was there with the right new connector to do it.
okay, well, there's a lot to be discussed.
At the committee.
Yeah.
Perfect. Citizens' comments, there are, something we got on one, this doesn't really matter. My comments, I've just been busy. I'm everything taxes, is what I've been working on for the last time, getting ready for our upcoming budget meetings. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Councilor Rogers.
Nothing for me, besides happy holidays to everyone.
Wonderful. Councilor Osborne.
Just Merry Christmas and all the best in 2026. I'd say, believe we're saying 2026, but.
Yeah.
Councilor LeBlanc.
The only thing, that I've reported on, not reported on, but we had a great Christmas parade.
Yeah.
I had a great Scrooge, a lot of comments. was very well done, very well done. And of course, wish everybody here, I hope we have a very Merry Christmas and a really good New Year. Great New Year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Councilor.
I just wanted to say, what a great time I had at the parade and the tree lighting. It was so well done. And thanks for everybody for, their participation in that. It was so much fun. It was a great time. And yeah, happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you. All right, if I could get a motion to go in camera.
I'll make the motion, we go into camera at 8:20.
And do I have a seconder?
Awesome.
And we'll 8:20.
20, I will sign off from the meeting. Just.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. And happy
Still-
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Doing
See ya. See ya. Merry Christmas, everyone. See ya.
Merry Christmas.